Welcome to Intuitive Defense. My name is Baker. I'm currently out of the country right now, but I want to take an opportunity and discuss an important issue that pertains to the Second Amendment that, if done, would set a dangerous precedent of stripping groups of people of their constitutionally protected rights and freedoms. This video has two sections in terms of issues that we'll be discussing, but both topics are relevant and lead to the same path. First up, the Trump administration has floated the idea of preventing or banning transgender people from owning firearms. Now, before getting into depth on that, it's important that I briefly state my position on guns and firearm ownership in general so that you can better understand where we're getting into with these topics and how important it is that rights are preserved. Also, given the nature of this topic, there's a chance that people who are pro certain things, but not necessarily pro-gun or pro-Second Amendment, might be watching this video since the bingo card of life has put a spotlight on these two hot topics together. I am a Second Amendment absolutist, which basically means I believe the right to bear arms is a fundamental, unrestrained, individual right that can be exercised by any American without government restrictions or limitations. The reason I believe this is because government cannot 100% guarantee your safety 100% of the time. Therefore, self-defense is an individual responsibility, and depending on the environment you are in at any given time, your exposure to a potential violent threat or multiple threats might be higher or lower depending on the situation or variables, but it is never zero. Because of this, individual gun ownership is a crucial tool to help ensure survival if a person is thrust into a violent situation or if the threat of violence is present. A gun is the most effective form of self-defense because it can equalize situations and, in a lot of cases, shift the balance of survival into the victim's favor. Meaning, if a 6-foot, 250-pound male attacks a 5-foot, 90-pound female and she is armed with a gun, her chance of survival is much higher than if she did not have a gun. The same is also true with other objects. If she had a knife, her chance of survival is increased. But in a lot of situations, a gun is more effective at preserving life than a knife, or a bat, or a brick, or a rock, or other object that can be used in a defensive situation. The basic concept of any person, regardless of their height, weight, strength, race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, social standing, or financial worth, having the means and ability to effectively protect themselves or others is why I'm a Second Amendment absolutist. When the government puts limitations on that, it leaves people out. Now I can get back to the previously mentioned topic of the Trump administration floating the idea of preventing or banning transgender people from owning firearms by actively considering a range of options to prevent potentially mentally unstable people from committing acts of violence. I strongly oppose depriving an entire class or group of people of their constitutionally protected Second Amendment rights and freedoms just because of the actions of a few. These are individual rights, not group rights. Because of that, one person's rights and freedoms are not subject to change simply because a different person did something. That's not how this works. Also, the concept of mentally unstable or similar terminology when applied to a group of people can be somewhat vague and subjective, which means it can be modified to fit anyone based on any situation at any time for any reason. For instance, poor people, veterans, disabled, women who just gave birth, people under 4 feet tall. My point being this: it is a dangerously slippery slope that will be impossible to climb back up from. Knee-jerk reactions are very seldom the best reaction. Just because the administration wants to do something to help doesn't mean this is the proper course of action. Now, my personal opinion is gender dysphoria, or whatever you want to call it, might be related to a mental disorder because the fact is you cannot pretend your way into a new physical or biological reality. Just because you draw whiskers on your face doesn't mean you're a cat. Going to physical extremes in an attempt to turn fiction into reality can put a lot of physical and mental stress onto a person if they are that confused about who they are. That being said, though, some people might also be doing this for attention. Either way, if the individual does not exhibit any signs, characteristics, or actions consistent with violent behavior, them, nor an entire group of people, should not have their individual rights and freedoms removed, especially if it is as important as access to effective means of self-defense through gun ownership. I might not agree with your lifestyle, your choices, your opinions, or what you cooked for dinner, or the fact that you decided to buy a Ford. But as an American, I respect your individual rights, and I hope that you would do the same regardless of what you think about me. The second part of this video. On the opposite political spectrum, but in line with deprivation of rights, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is calling for a special legislative session to debate stricter gun control. As it pertains to wanting more gun control, he isn't necessarily targeting a specific group of people, but rather everyone in his state. Again though, this is a mass punishment for everyone based on individual actions of a few. Both administrations, Trump and Walz, are making this push as a result of the most recent mass casualty event in Minneapolis, where a transgender person walked into a Catholic school and committed horrible acts of violence against children. The same horrific situation being used as the justification to remove individual rights and freedoms from groups of people is not a new concept. Government is really good at using safety to remove liberty. Just remember though, when government takes your rights and freedoms in the name of safety, you will never get them back, because in the eyes of government, it is never safe enough to restore those rights to you. Although both administrations are pushing for similar things, I think the underlying motives are different. The Trump administration wants to deprive a group of people of their rights out of ignorance, and the Walz administration wants to deprive a group of people of their rights because he is anti-citizens having guns. Both reasons are equally dangerous, and if successful, there is a good possibility other individual rights and freedoms will be on the chopping block later. You cannot ban your way into safety. The problem is not the object, but the person. There is an estimated 400 million guns in the hands of civilians in America. If the problem was truly the object, a gun, everyone in America would be dead some twice. What people should be focused on is what shifted or changed in society that has influenced people into committing these heinous acts of violence against innocent people. There was once a time when teenagers had guns in their trucks on a rack hanging in the back window of their vehicle, which was parked in the school parking lot, and nothing ever happened. There was also a time where you'd see a kid walking down the street with a .22 rifle to go squirrel hunting, and nothing happened. My point is this. We have had guns in America's society for a very long time. The guns haven't changed. Society has. I don't know what the cause is. Maybe it was movies depicting violence. Maybe it was video games depicting violence. Maybe it was the breakdown of family and community. Maybe it was the advancement of technology like the internet. Maybe it was social media where everyone is competing for attention. Or maybe it's a combination of everything together. Whatever it is, the attention and focus should be on repairing society, not limiting and reducing individual freedoms and rights. Well, that's it for me, folks. I just want to provide this current event update. If you found this information beneficial, please consider subscribing to this channel. Also, let us know in the comment section below what your thoughts are on this topic. Do you support banning the Second Amendment rights of certain groups? If so, please explain why. Thank you and have a great day. We'll see you in the next video.